Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast. I do this every day. Today, my dog Simon, celebrating Simon. Um, it's kind of a crazy story how I got Simon. I've had Simon 6 years. He's 18, going on 19. Uh, so let's just get into it. It's a crazy story. And it's kind of a long story. So Simon, okay, I was living in I had an apartment in Pasadena for like 6 years. And I was there one day and the inspectors came by like, hey, every 6 year, 10 year, whatever it was, we have to come and do an inspection. So step out, we'll come in. I go in and I'll go out. They come in, they come out like, oh no, this is an illegal dwelling. Like, you can't be here. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I've been here for like 6 years. This is my home. Nope, can't be here. Um, and paperwork, you got 72 hours. Yeah, you got to be out here in 72 hours. Like, where am I going to go? We'll call the landlord. He's, by law, he's supposed to. Well, no, by he didn't want to. He's not going to. So I had to find a new place. 72 hours, 3 days. So I got into group. What shit? I got to find a place. So I literally was looking for a place. It's hard in Los Angeles. You need deposits and this and that. So I actually put my car at a Mercedes at a 300C and put it on Craigslist, explained like, hey, I'll trade it for like a van or whatever. And then a guy contacted me and was like, hey, I got this minivan. It's got a twin bed in it. Da, da, da. I'll give you like the van plus like $1,800. And I was like, okay, fine. Hated to get rid of my Mercedes, but so I get this van and I still can't find a place. Then there's two places that I could find. One was in Studio City, one was in Arcadia. So I liked the place in Studio City. I went to the place in Arcadia and I was like, oh no. She was just like a drunk, and she had this mean dog, Simon. Just I was like, oh man, there's no way. So I went back and I called the guy in Studio City. I said, hey man, I'm taking your place. He's like, okay, yeah, see you tomorrow when you move in. Tomorrow comes, the day I'm supposed to move out. And he changes his mind. He's like, oh no, I switched gears or whatever. I'm not gonna that too. Huh? So I had to call back the person in Arcadia. I took that room. It was like a 2-bedroom house. In life, it's kind of strange how things end up, So Simon's so mean, and my other dog, they couldn't even be together. We had to like take time and they had to fight it out, get their whole, And I was like, I'm only staying here for like a month or two. I can't take, she was drunk and she would be arguing with the neighbors. And so I couldn't even pet Simon, And then I was there for about this is the second month I was there. I was at work. So when I was at work, something happened. She got, and long story short, she left Simon. It's like, Simon, this dog, he's just mean. And then her family came to get her stuff. And they're going to take Simon to the LA pound. Like, no, you're not, man. I'm going to, like, even though I don't like this dog, I don't even know him. I'm not going to let him go to the pound. They're immediately going to like kill him. By then he was 12, mean, kind of ugly, He's a dandy Dinmont Terrier. So he's kind of, and back then he still had his muscles and stuff. And then they say, okay, fine. You can stay. And I was like, how am I going to sweet talk this dog? So I had to like give him snacks and treats, to kind of like, finally he let me pet him. Like growl, but the story of Simon. So I got Simon. That's how I got Simon, and that's how I got that house. I stayed at that house for 6 years. I thought it was going to be a couple months. Like, I'm out of here, and next thing you know, see, life is weird sometimes. Like, you're not planning anything, and then, but it turned out for the best. I had that house with the off-street parking, big yard for the dogs, had a shed. Of course, I found another roommate. Had to sign a new lease. One thing about she hadn't told the landlord that I had moved in, and I was paying her that rent that 2 months, and then she didn't give it to him, and then she wasn't even paying the rent. I don't know what she was doing, gambling away. Who knows what she was doing? So when he showed up, he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Well, I moved in. I had paperwork. I made her sign. I always make people sign receipts and stuff." And so he's like, "You're out of here." They called the cop, and they were like, "Well, no, I was in the right." The cop's like, "Look, he's already paid. He got his receipt. Can't you guys work it out?" The landlord was like, "Okay, fine. You can stay, but you got to pay first." Well, hey, so I did. I got to keep the house. I got a roommate. I got Simon. And the funny thing about Simon was the few times we did converse, my old roommate, the owner of Simon, she was like, "Well, the strange thing about Simon was we went to the Pasadena pound to pick out a dog, and they make you jump through hoops and interviews, and it's kind of pricey to get a dog in Pasadena, even at the pound. And they picked the dog, and they're like, 'That's the dog we want.' So okay, come pick him up tomorrow." Well, they get there the next day, and they'd accidentally killed their dog like mixed up the paperwork and put that dog to sleep. And then the one that was supposed to be put to sleep, Simon, they're like, "Well, here's the dog that was supposed to put to sleep. You can have," and they're like, "Okay, fine." Shit. That's again, it's just a weird story. So they got Simon. And by the time I got him, he was 12. And my new roommate had actually known the other roommate and knew Simon. Like he was friendly with Simon. So when he moved in, him and Simon were like, "Oh yeah, they're best buddies." So that was good because I had my other dog, and Simon turned into the coolest dog. I mean, granted, he was grumpy. He didn't like other male dogs or anybody. He didn't like, he saved us one time. This guy sicked his huskies on us, and Mr. Simon whooped up on 2 huskies. And Simon's only like 20 pounds. He's a dandy dimma, but they were like bred to like, small game hunting or like fighting badgers. Who knows? He was a badass. He is a badass. It was, I mean, again, you don't think when I first saw this dog, like, there's no way, man, this fucking dog, but man, the next thing you know, he's in your heart, and, you love him. And, of course you got to take care of a dog. His hair grows, man. He'll get dreads. You got to cut his hair, and you got to take him to the vet. And he was banned from all the vets because he had bitten whatever. So I could only find like one person that would let him, but he became my like buddy. And then when that roommate, my new roommate, he was there for 2 years, he moved out. He was going to take Simon. I was like, "Are you sure?" "Oh, no. And he claimed that he had adopted Simon. And Simon slept in his bed, and he, so I was like, "Okay, you can take Simon." Because by then I was attached to Simon. 2 months later, he's like, "No, man, I'm not doing well. I'm going through some times. Can you take Simon back? Because I don't want to." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." So I took him back. He came back. He was so happy. Because he'd been living in an RV with my old roommate. It was a big RV, kind of nice, but it wasn't like the same with him having his yard. He can go outside because he's a California dog. My sliding glass door was mostly open. He can go out there and lay in the sun and chase birds and squirrels, kill possums and raccoons. He was shit. So I learned a lot from Mr. Simon. I mean, it's life. These things that happen in life. You plan. You do all this stuff, and you just don't know. Again, I'd have never thought that place I was in Pasadena. I was there for 6 years. I loved it. I'd probably be there to this day if it wasn't. Again, it was an illegal dwelling. They had turned into, people do that in LA. They'll like convert half their garage into an apartment. And it's not zoned or whatever, coding. I don't know. It looked fine to me, but that's just kind of an LA. You got 72 hours to move out. What? 72 hours? Had to trade my Mercedes with cash for this minivan. It was kind of cool. Had like a twin bed in the back. I mean, it was, granted, I had a bunch of stuff anyway. But I thought I might have to be sleeping in that minivan. No, you don't want to. For one, there's no off. You can't park on the streets and most around LA. The places you can, you don't want to because everybody's doing it, and it's just scary. So it's kind of a blessing that, and then I found this house, rented a room. Within 2 months, now I'm the new lease, and I got a 2-bedroom house that I had for 6 years. That's a place when I left LA in February, I was in that house. Um, I would have never thought. I'd have never thought, like, man, I'm going to end up with this house and this dog. I mean, there's no way. I wouldn't have believed you try to tell me. I'd be like, oh, you're full of shit. Strange, mysterious world we live in. And of course, Simon is my buddy. He, you get, I mean, I love dogs. I've always had dogs. I'm from Tennessee, small town boy from Tennessee. We always had dogs. And I can't remember. There might be a year or two in my life where I didn't have a dog. And in Hollywood, I used to have Possum, my old dog. I took Possum everywhere. I always had a dog. And I was always leaving and going, like, people, where are you going? I said, man, I got to go walk my dog. Like, oh, yeah. What? Like, yeah. I have a dog. I have responsibilities, man. I'm not like partying 24/7 like y'all. Got to go walk my dog. You're crazy. What? Shit, maybe. But my dogs keep me centered. I don't have family. So my dogs are my family. And I know there's a lot of people like that. I'm just a dog person. What are you going to do? I've lived with cats too. I mean, shit. I've had gerbils and snakes and, I wouldn't recommend having a snake. Matter of fact, how I got that snake, I was at a party in St. Louis when I lived in St. Louis, like the mid 90s. And this dude was giving away his snakes. He's like, look, I'll give you the heating stone, the aquarium, everything for it. Like, you just have to take my snake. He was moving or something. So I was drunk that night. I was like, yeah, I'll take your snake. Or some kind of king snake. Pardon me. The next morning I wake up hungover and he's at my door. I'm like, shit. I mean, I had that snake for probably 6 months. Then it died. And I think people that have, if people like, if you're single, live by yourself or whatever, you're lonely, you're not lost family, get an animal, get a dog. There's so many dogs that need to have, and dogs they're so, they're just loyal and, they get to know every little, they get personalities and, totally recommended. Simon. So my dog Simon. So that first day that I moved in, I signed the lease and I got my receipts and stuff. And she's like, I was sitting on the couch talking to her, this woman I rented a room from. The sliding glass door was open and Simon was just running around the backyard barking, and she'd be like, shut up. And I was like, oh God, I don't think I could take this. And as I'm sitting there talking to her, I hear this like boom, and this feathers, and Simon had jumped in the air and caught a bird. Like, what the? And I go out there and he's got this poor bird. Of course, it's dead and he's trying to eat it. And I go up there like, hey, and he's just like no, okay, eat the bird, feathers and all. So I thought, man, there's no way. This dog is insane. How did he get so mean? Of course, she wasn't feeding him and this, that, and the other. I mean, I had to, he became a great dog. At first it was just like he wasn't getting any attention. He wasn't, he didn't have the fresh water. She wouldn't give him. I mean, it's sad how people treat animals. Not me. I he became a sweetheart dog where you couldn't even be around him. He was banned from like the groomers and the veterinarians and I sweet talk, hey, give him snacks and loving on him. And of course, you don't want to reach in if he's eating something. You just, lose a finger. But he became sweet. And he was a guard dog, too. Like, he was, at night, if I was walking, like, if I had Simon, I felt safe. If people, like, in the alley at night see me with Simon, he starts barking, they'd leave me be. And everybody likes people. He had a fan club. He has a fan club. People love Simon. And then thinking I'm going to lose him again, that first roommate I had, once I was there by myself, moved in this roommate. He was there for 2 years, went through some trouble, took Simon with him. It's like, okay, take Simon, you claim you've adopted him. Then come back 2 months, drop him off. And then he was like, "Oh," and him and I thought were friends. I thought we became like close, because we went through a lot. I had to support him. He had some problems, but he was a trust fund kid. He had more money than me. But oh yeah, I'm gonna come visit Simon. I'll bring him food. That's the last time I saw him. I never saw him again. He only lived a mile away. He could have walked every day. Just no, he never did. I guess I don't. I get it. People are, he didn't want to. He probably hurt. Broke his heart that he didn't have Simon, and every time he goes around, he's gonna bring up those feelings. I get it, but he never called. He never. No, I wouldn't have done it. But life's tough. Shit happens. You got to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, and you just have to, get on with your life. And having a dog's a responsibility, man. I have to walk my dogs. Now that I don't have the backyard for them to open up the door and run, I have to get up to walk them. In the rain, in the snow, since I moved back to Illinois, shit. Responsibility is a heavy responsibility. I mean, they get me up in the morning. I mean, that's probably why I'm a morning person, because of my dogs. They get me up. They want their snack. They want, hey, shit, they're ready to go. You can be hungover, sick. They don't care. Like running all over you. I got little dogs, kind of like lap dogs. This is the first time I've had lap dog. Usually I'd have like a knee-high dog, bigger dog. And my other dog, I've had her since 2012. I rescued her. I was trying to adopt a dog. I went to the Pasadena pound, and man, they make you jump through hoops, and it costs money, and I just didn't like the people there. It was this process that took weeks or whatever. Dude, I just want to get a dog. And one of my clients, the time I was teaching vocal lessons, singing lessons, she said, "Hey, just go to Craigslist, type in free dog, go to pets, type in free dog." And it's the first one I did. I did that. First one was my dog. Hey, and she's rescued from Compton. She'd been in Compton. And I called, and sure enough, they interviewed, like, look, we're going to interview more people. You have to make sure people are cool. We'll look into you. I was like, oh, this is who I am, blah, blah, blah. Then they called me back about 2 hours later, like, yeah, well, you seem like the coolest. There's some freaks that are calling it. And I've had her since, 10 years. It's just to train a dog, just to get them house trained. You got to be patient, man, because they're going to be peeing and shitting all over the place. On your bed, eating your shoes. I mean, you gotta hang in there. And she was scared. She'd been hit by a car. She's got a bum hip to this day. It's like but rescuing a dog. I mean, I think there she is right back there. See? She she loves the camera. You just again, I'm a dog person. People are cat people. People are rabbits. Who knows? But it makes my life fuller to have animals. Again, I don't have family. I don't have any. Most of my family's dead. It had been going on since I was a teenager. People died. I was like, oh my God. And it sucks. Like certain people, they have family that live well, not mine. They just, oh man, for a while there was just like say hi, the deal. That's just how life is. Some people, that's just how certain people, shit. I wish I could explain it. I wish it didn't happen, but life goes on. You got to think positive and hang in there. And it's much better and funner with a dog. They all have their little personalities. That's what I don't trust people that don't like dogs. Or even animals. I don't trust, and people, if my dogs don't like people, that's a tell. I know. And they usually have the same kind of, they can play it. You just know that they're probably, I don't know. I lose my shit if I see somebody hurting an animal. I don't know what it is. I mean, fuck. Preying on the innocent. I just don't like that. I have feelings and a heart. But yeah, Simon has been a great dog. Again, it's weird to get he was an older dog. I got him when he was 12. So he's like 18 now. And I learned a lot from my dog, Simon too. Like you just learn life lessons, you just have to, and they get in, you got to be there for them. And, of course you've cleaned up puke and poo 1,000 times, but it's, hey, you're there when they're sick. You're there when they're this, you're there when happy. And matter of fact, the older I got, I'd rather just go hang out with my dogs. I've been that forever. I mean, kind of always, but there'd be times like, I'll go to a party. No, I would rather just have people over, a few friends with me, have my dogs. And of course, they're on their laps and throw the sock for me. Driving you crazy sometimes, just endless, like a 12-hour shift of them up and down on your lap, because they're lap dogs. They're a little bit more, they're terriers. So they're just like happy and just want to, hey, look at me. Again, I would suggest that if you are missing something in your life, adopt an animal. Get a cat, get a dog. If you don't want to walk dogs, or if you got a backyard, you can let them out. Get a cat. Of course, you got to clean the cat box, which smells like, I'm allergic to cats. And I got typhus, supposedly from a flea from a cat back in 2013. But that doesn't mean I like cats. I just can't pet them. I have friends and they have cats, and I go over and they want to be, and they can smell my dogs on me and they can tell that I'm an animal lover. They come up, yeah, they want it. I mean, I just can't. I can't rub them, because if I rub my eye and I get, my eyes swell up, and I got asthma too. Yeah, it's a shame I can't snuggle up with the cats, but shit, what are you going to do? And, again, if you're not ready to have a dog or a cat, don't do it. Make sure that you're okay, bound and determined. You don't want to give up on an animal, man. You think you're doing the right thing, like, oh, this will be easy. Now, make sure that you have this responsibility for about 10 years or more, maybe longer. It's not something to take lightly. They will fulfill your life. If you need love, you get a dog or a cat. They become like your kids. The more people I meet, the more I love my animals, kind of thing. People can be mean. All of us, sometimes, you never know. Some more than others. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes there's, decisions you got to make. They're like, oh, damn. But I've always had dogs. My old dog, Possum, when I was living in Echo Park, she went missing. She was gone for like days. I think it was 3 or 4 days. And then we're out on the porch. I thought she was gone. Like, oh man, Possum, where'd she go? Like, I don't know. Did someone steal her? Did she run away? We just didn't know. And me and my roommates and friends were out, like, hanging out on this patio, this front porch with, like, sofas and a barbecue grill, just hanging out doing our thing. And here comes this pack of coyotes, and Possum's with them. Like, Possum, I went out, run out there, and she stopped, and I got her, and she's all dirty. And like, I thought coyotes ate dogs, but Possum was part dingo. So she was kind of funny looking and short haired. I guess she just hooked up with the coyotes, ran for like 3 or 4 nights. She was running down the middle of the street with coyotes. And like, that's Possum. Went out there and, hey, like, happy to see me. Like, where you been? What are you doing? Had to give her a bath, Dogs are funny. Everybody loved Possum. I mean, Possum was like and she'd been all over. She'd been cross country for, I don't know how many times. I took her everywhere. Take her to Venice Beach. I took her to everywhere. She's walked Sunset Strip, Melrose, Hollywood Boulevard, you name it. She passed in 2009. And she was like 15. But yeah, she was just a road dog. I mean, she would like, she went to gigs. She was in the van, everywhere. Here, there, people's house. People would argue, like, well, if you go out of town, can I watch possum? And the other person, like, well, no, I want to watch possum. Like, people would fight over who could watch possum. If I had like a gig to do out of town or something was going on, I was like, all right, we have this rotating policy of you guys kind of, you get her this time, next time you get. My old neighbor in Venice, Elijah Wood, who'd been like Frodo from, he loved possum. He would like, he'd forget my name and he knew possum's name. He's like, what's your name again? Like he called me Craig. Craig, is that your name? No, it's Charlie. Cool dude. Love possum. Can possum hang out with us tonight? And I would. I'd let possum go over there and hang out a bit. I'd hang out with them. They love possum. Okay. All right. Bye. And um, dogs are cool. Um, of course, you're going to smell like a dog if you don't keep them clean. You know what I mean? They're going to have hair. You got to clean up. I got to sweep every day. And the fleas and you got to, shit. It's an ongoing, it's an ongoing thing. And yeah, Mr. Simon. I love Mr. Simon. Look, I do this every day. I rant like a madman. If you want to support the channel, there's info in the description for Zelle. Like, share, subscribe. Do what you gotta do. Again, I'm trying to do this full time, so if you can support the channel, I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.